This day in sports history. Well, hey there, you're back for another edition of This Day in Sports History, a member of the Sports History Network. It's November 12th, and on this day across the sports spectrum, we had a highly improbable win in Death Valley. The first guy to ever get paid for playing football, and Buddy Ryan was putting Redskins in body bags. Plus, what can you do in 12 seconds? No matter what your special 12-second talent may be, Esa Tikkanen laughs at you. Plus, a non-sports fun fact at the end about actress Julia Roberts. A non-stop, action-packed, fun-filled episode on the way for you. Let's start with what happened on this day back in 2016 when the Pitt Panthers went to Clemson's Death Valley and did what no team had been able to do in more than 3 years. Clemson was on a roll. After losing in the national championship game the year before to Alabama, the Tigers were 9-0, ranked second in the country behind the Crimson Tide, and had their sights set on another showdown with Bama for the title of best in college football. They'd won 23 straight regular season games, 21 consecutive at home, and had not lost a conference game in the past 3 seasons. The Pitt Panthers came into this one with a less than impressive 5-4 record, but they weren't pushovers. Pitt had no problems scoring points in 2016. They'd scored at least 36 points in 7 of their 9 games up to that point, and in the 2 games after this one, they'd score a combined 132 points. They just had issues stopping anybody on defense. But Pitt's defensive coordinator Josh Conklin had something cooking for Clemson QB Deshaun Watson and the Tiger offense, or maybe Watson just had his mind on a post-game massage and was not completely focused. Either way, mistakes and the inability to pick up crucial yardage late doomed Clemson in this one. By the end of the third quarter, the Tigers had an 8-point lead. Watson had thrown 3 touchdown passes, but he'd also thrown 2 interceptions. One of those picks was in the end zone in the first quarter, negating a Tigers scoring opportunity. A little foreshadowing for you there. Watson did complete 52 of his 70 passing attempts for 508 yards that day, but he probably should have just settled for 69 passing attempts and 1 more rushing attempt. With under 6 minutes to play, up by 8 and on the Panther 4-yard line facing 2nd and goal, all the Tigers really needed to do was play it safe, get out of the situation with, at bare minimum, 3 points, make it a 2-possession game, and that would probably seal it. Instead, this happened.
2nd down and goal. Throwback, intercepted! Intercepted at the goal line for Pittsburgh. Salim Brightwell trying to go the distance, and he's dragged down from behind by Mike Williams, saving a touchdown. In a spot where really all they needed was a field goal, Watson throws his 3rd interception of the game.
A few plays later, James Conner scored his 2nd TD of the day, and the Panthers were within 2. The 2-point conversion failed, though, so they needed to get the ball back. But again, this was a team that could not stop anybody that year, playing a team that could not be stopped, which made what happened next a bit uncharacteristic. On both a 3rd and 1 and a 4th and 1 from the Pitt 35, the Panthers came up with 2 huge stops to force the turnover. But they still needed to get into field goal range, and with less than a minute and no timeouts remaining, they had to move fast. Pitt's Nathan Peterman got them inside the range of Chris Blewitt, and after a kiss on the temple from his head coach Pat Narduzzi, Blewitt lined up for the 48-yard go-ahead field goal with 6 seconds left.
Trust your leg and your swing and let her rip.
Ryan Winslow to hold it for Chris Blewitt to try to knock off number 2 at Clemson. On the way and good.
Blewitt didn't blow it. Yeah, I know that was low-hanging fruit there, but that gave the Panthers the 43-42 stunner of a win. So, did that wipe Clemson out of the national championship picture? It did not. They only fell 2 spots in the rankings, with other top 10 teams Michigan, Washington, Texas A&M, and Auburn all losing that week as well. The Tigers would win their final 2 regular season games, beat Virginia Tech in the ACC championship game, get back to number 2, obliterate Ohio State in the national semifinal game, and then exact its revenge upon Alabama to win their first national championship in 35 years. The loss to Pitt on this day was significant in the moment, but ultimately no more than a speed bump when the curtain finally fell on the 2016 season. And that's the end of the first half. As the teams head to the locker room, the Spartans lead the Bulldogs by a score.
You guys stink.
Geez, Coach, we're only down a couple of points.
No, I mean you guys really smell. You need to hit the showers. And here, I got every one of you new bars of soap from the Sterling Soap Company. Each bar is artisan crafted using natural ingredients and essential oils. They also have shave soaps, colognes, beard balm, and a whole lot more. Now get in there.
But Coach, we have another half to play.
I don't care. I can't stand to be around you.
A few minutes later.
All right, bring it in tight. You guys are still playing terrible, but you're smelling great out there. Now listen, you're going to need to stock up for the rest of the season. We got a lot of tough games left. So go to sterlingsoap.com after the game. That's STIRLING soap.com. You got that?
Yes, Coach.
Great. sterlingsoap.com on 3. 1, 2, 3. sterlingsoap.com.
On this day in 1892, William Pudge Heffelfinger became the first professional football player. Pudge had played football at Yale and had been an All-American guard in 1891 on a team that had gone 13-0. The Allegheny Athletic Association reached out to Heffelfinger to see if he'd like to play in a game against the Pittsburgh Athletic Club. They sweetened the deal a good bit when they offered him $500 to suit up. Now that is the equivalent of about $16,000 in today's money. It was the first time that money had been paid to a guy to play the game, and it paid dividends. He scored the game's only touchdown in a win for Allegheny. Other teams started to follow suit, adding a paid player or two to the roster. Pittsburgh became the first team to offer the first professional contract when they signed a player the next year for the season. Buddy Ryan was a pretty tough dude, or maybe he was just surly all the time. Actually, more than likely, he was both. He famously sparred with Mike Ditka when he was defensive coordinator on the Chicago Bears. He came to blows on the sideline with Houston offensive coordinator Kevin Gilbride after the OC's calls kept putting Buddy's defense in bad spots. He was the mastermind behind the Chicago Bears' 46 defense. That was a big reason that Chicago won the Super Bowl in '86. He brought that defense with him to Philadelphia as the head coach and put together a defense to be feared with guys like Jerome Brown, Clyde Simmons, and Reggie White. This was the Monday night game between the Washington Redskins and the Eagles at the Vet. In the lead-up to this one, Ryan told reporters that his team was going to beat up on the Skins so badly, they'll have to be carted off in body bags. Yeah, he was pretty good with the one-liners as well, and the game lived up to Ryan's billing. Throughout the course of the night, 9 Washington players were injured, including starting quarterback Jeff Rutledge and backup QB Stan Humphries. Mark Rippon was already out due to an injury suffered earlier in the year, and third-stringer Gary Hogeboom had not been activated for the game, which left the Skins scrambling for somebody to take snaps. Rookie running back Brian Mitchell was called on to play QB to finish out the game. The Eagles got 2 touchdowns from their defense en route to a 28-14 win over Washington. The game did lead to a rule change. The NFL allowed for an emergency third quarterback that was not counted against the team's active roster. If he made an appearance prior to the fourth quarter, neither the starter or backup could re-enter the game. And about a third of the time that it will take me to read this short hockey fact from this day, Esa Tikkanen could have scored 2 goals. Well, on this day in 1988, Tikkanen scored not just 2 goals, but 2 shorthanded goals in 12 seconds. His first came when he picked up the puck in the neutral zone, skated past the blue line, fired a shot that Toronto Maple Leaf goaltender Al Bester blocked, but the rebound came right back to Tikkanen's stick, and he put it over Bester's glove hand into the net. Moments later, after the Oilers won the faceoff, Jari Kurri found Tikkanen in front of the net again, and he slid it past Bester for number 2, 12 seconds removed from the first one. That's the quickest that any player has scored 2 short-handed goals in NHL history. And on this day in 1920, Kenessaw Mountain Landis became the first commissioner of baseball. Landis replaced a 3-man commission that had been in place since 1903. The 16 major league owners met in Chicago and after 3 hours selected Landis. One caveat was that Landis could continue his job as a jurist on the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Illinois, a post he'd been appointed to in 1905 by President Teddy Roosevelt. Landis's appointment as baseball commissioner was a direct result of the 1919 Chicago Black Sox scandal and the rumors that continued to swirl about the World Series being fixed. Landis was given dictatorial powers over both the owners and the players, and he used those powers to control baseball for the next 25 years. Of course, his first ruling came the following year with the lifetime ban of the 8 Chicago players implicated in the Black Sox scandal. He was later emboldened when he suspended the most popular player in the game, Babe Ruth, for violating a rule prohibiting players from that season's pennant winners to barnstorm in the offseason. When Ruth returned from his 4-month suspension in 1922, he was booed by fans, a tacit approval of Landis's draconian measure. He would also keep the sport closed off to black players, upholding an informal ban against black players put in place in 1884. It was not until after Landis's death in 1944 that the discussion about bringing black players into the game was resumed. And time now for today's That's Got Nothing to Do with Sports fun fact. In 1967, Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King paid the hospital costs of Julia Roberts' hospital birth. It seems that Julia's folks were a little light on cash at the moment and could not afford the bill. Apparently, running an acting school in Atlanta at that time was not bringing in enough for the Roberts to inflate their bank account. But a previous act of openness and kindness to the King family paid off. You see, a few years earlier, the Kings had wanted to find a place for their kids to learn acting, but nobody would accept them because they were black. Julia's parents welcomed the King children, but nobody else would. That's all I've got for you today. Thanks for checking out this episode. Come on back tomorrow for another edition of This Day in Sports History. This has been an original Thrive Suite production.